Today, I want to speak to you about a mindset, a belief, a call to action that can shift the course of our lives and the world around us. Imagine for a moment what you would do, what you could do if failure were not an option. If every idea you had, every step you took, every leap you considered came with the certainty of success, how would you act? How bold would your dreams become? This isn't about arrogance or pretending life doesn't have its challenges. It's about summoning the courage to meet those challenges head on, not because we're certain of the outcome, but because we believe in the worthiness of the effort. Acting like it's impossible to fail is not a denial of reality. It's a declaration of intention. It means showing up when the odds are long. It means trying again when the world tells you to quit. It means lifting your head, squaring your shoulders, and saying, "I'm not done yet." History has never been shaped by those who were content with the status quo. It has always moved forward because of people who were willing to defy limits, who were willing to take risks, who dared to believe in a future they could not yet see. They acted not because success was guaranteed, but because the cause was just, the vision was clear, and the time was now. When we embrace the idea that failure is not the end, but simply a step on the path to something greater, we open ourselves to innovation, to growth, and to real impact. We stop playing small, we stop waiting for permission. We take responsibility not just for our own lives, but for the communities and the world we live in. So let us carry ourselves with that belief, not out of naivete, but out of determination. Let us act, speak, build, and dream as though it's impossible to fail. Because when we do, we unleash a force more powerful than fear, the unshakable conviction that our efforts matter, and that we are capable of creating the change we seek. Acting like failure is impossible begins with reshaping the way we think about ambition and potential. Often, we limit ourselves before the world ever does. We edit our ideas, scale back our goals, or silence our own voices because we fear embarrassment, rejection, or simply the unknown. But when we adopt a mindset that failure isn't even on the table, something powerful happens. We unlock a version of ourselves that is bolder, more creative, and more willing to stretch beyond the familiar. It's not about pretending obstacles don't exist. It's about choosing not to be paralyzed by them. When we believe that failure is not a possibility, we're freed from the constraints of self-doubt. We stop looking over our shoulders, second, guessing our instincts, or waiting for perfect conditions that never come. Instead, we focus entirely on the mission. This mindset allows us to chase ideas that feel out of reach, to start things we're not fully ready for, and to lead in spaces where we might not feel fully qualified, because we trust that we'll figure it out as we go. And more often than not, we do. This shift in thinking also changes the way we set goals. Rather than asking what's realistic, we start asking what's possible. We start thinking in terms of vision rather than limitation. That's when ambition becomes a driving force instead of a distant wish. That's when the bar rises, not just for ourselves, but for those around us who draw inspiration from how we show up. People who act like it's impossible to fail carry an energy that's contagious. They don't just dream big. They normalize big dreams, and ambition, when rooted in purpose, has the power to do more than achieve personal success. It can build communities, launch movements, and rewrite the future. But it starts with the decision to stop playing small, to stop asking for permission, to stop assuming the worst before we even try. When we approach life from a place of bold, fearless ambition, we give ourselves permission to become the kind of leaders, creators, and change makers the world needs, not someday, but now. Courage over certainty is a principle that lies at the heart of meaningful action. Too often, we wait for perfect clarity before taking the first step. We want all the answers lined up, every risk accounted for, and a clear view of the finish line. But life rarely works that way. If we wait for complete certainty, we may never move at all. What drives progress, what fuels real transformation, is the courage to step forward even when the outcome is unclear. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to act in spite of it. Every great achievement in history began with someone who didn't know exactly how things would turn out. Whether it was inventors testing ideas no one believed in, activists standing up against injustice, or entrepreneurs launching ventures others doubted, none of them had guarantees. What they had was a deep belief in what they were doing, and the willingness to risk failure for the chance to build something greater. That belief, that quiet, steady courage, is what separates those who talk about change from those who make it happen. Relying too much on certainty can actually become a trap. It can keep us stuck in planning mode, endlessly preparing but never launching. It can lead us to choose the safer route over the one that truly excites us. It can keep our voices quiet when they're most needed. But when we prioritize courage, we move anyway. We make the call. We raise our hand. We try, knowing we might not succeed right away, but trusting that the effort matters. What's more, courage is a muscle. It grows the more we use it. Each time we push past fear, we build confidence not just in our abilities, but in our resilience. We start to see that we can recover from setbacks, adapt to the unexpected, and keep going. This shift in mindset makes us more powerful, more persistent, and more prepared to lead. It allows us to navigate uncertainty with grace rather than avoidance. In the end, it's not certainty that propels us forward, it's conviction. The belief that our actions matter, even when we can't predict the result. The understanding that some risks are worth taking simply because the cause is right, the need is urgent, or the dream is too important to ignore. Resilience in the face of setbacks is one of the most critical qualities we can develop if we want to act like it's impossible to fail. Because the truth is, failure, at least in the traditional sense, is inevitable at some point. We will make mistakes, plans will fall through, people will say no. Not every risk we take will lead to success on the first try, but that's not what defines us. What defines us is how we respond. When we approach challenges with resilience, we don't view setbacks as endings. We view them as feedback. We learn, adjust, and move forward stronger than before. Resilience allows us to see the bigger picture, that failure is not a full stop, but a comma, a moment to pause, reflect, and refine. Every successful person you admire has faced rejection, disappointment, or defeat. What separates them from those who gave up is their refusal to let a single moment of failure become the full story. This kind of mental toughness isn't something we're born with, it's something we build, and we build it through experience. Every time we choose to get back up after a fall, we teach ourselves that setbacks are survivable. More than that, they're useful. They test our commitment, sharpen our strategy, and deepen our humility. Without the sting of failure, we'd never know the true value of success. Resilience also changes the way we talk to ourselves. Instead of saying, "I failed," we start saying, "I learned." Instead of thinking, "This didn't work," we ask, "What can I do differently next time?" That shift in internal dialogue is powerful. It replaces shame with growth. It transforms defeat into fuel, and most importantly, it keeps us moving. When we act like it's impossible to fail, we're not pretending things will always go our way. We're choosing to believe that no failure is final unless we let it be. We're choosing to see every setback as a setup for a comeback, and we're committing to the journey, not just the wins, but the entire process of trying, stumbling, and rising again. Because in that process, we become not just more successful, but more grounded, more focused, and more capable of handling whatever lies ahead. History favors the bold because it is written by those who dare to challenge what is in pursuit of what could be. The people who shape the world are not always the ones with the most resources, connections, or experience. They're often the ones with the audacity to act when others hesitate. They're the ones who see injustice and speak out, who see inefficiency and build something better, who see opportunity where others see risk. Acting like it's impossible to fail doesn't mean we ignore the odds. It means we defy them. Throughout time, every major leap forward, whether in science, civil rights, art, technology, or politics, has been driven by individuals who were willing to take a stand, even when the world wasn't ready. They weren't always celebrated at first. In fact, many of them were ridiculed, resisted, or ignored, but they acted anyway, and over time, their courage became the catalyst for change. Their refusal to wait for permission rewrote what others thought was possible. Boldness isn't about recklessness, it's about conviction. It's about stepping forward with purpose, even when the outcome is uncertain. It's about believing that your voice, your ideas, and your actions can have impact, even if you're the only one who sees it at first. That kind of boldness has a ripple effect. It inspires others, it challenges norms, it changes conversations, and once that momentum builds, it's incredibly hard to stop. This principle applies just as much to individuals as it does to movements. Whether you're standing up for what's right in your school, launching a new idea at work, or simply choosing to be yourself in a world that pressures you to conform, your boldness matters. Because it sends a message that fear does not dictate your choices, and that silence is not an option when action is needed. The bold are not always the loudest, but they are the ones who move us forward. They teach us that progress requires discomfort, that innovation requires risk, and that real leadership often means stepping out alone before others follow. When we choose boldness, when we act as though failure isn't a threat, we align ourselves with the very forces that have shaped history. Not because we're guaranteed to succeed, but because we're willing to try when it counts most. Personal responsibility for impact means recognizing that the ability to make a difference doesn't lie in some distant, powerful figure. It lies in each of us. Too often, we underestimate our role in shaping the world around us. We think real change is someone else's job, that we need more experience, more influence, or more resources to make a meaningful contribution. But the truth is, the most powerful shifts in history have often begun with individuals who simply decided to act. They didn't wait for someone to give them permission. They saw a need, they felt a calling, and they stepped up. When we act like it's impossible to fail, we stop outsourcing responsibility. We stop waiting for perfect leaders or perfect systems to solve problems. We start asking, what can I do? What's within my reach? How can I make things better right where I am? That shift from passive to active, from bystander to participant, is the foundation of real impact. Because the moment we take ownership of our influence, no matter how small it seems, we begin to multiply it. Every word you speak, every choice you make, every action you take sends a message. Whether in a classroom, a workplace, a community, or online, your presence matters. And when you carry yourself with the belief that what you do has meaning, people notice. You give others permission to do the same. Responsibility doesn't mean carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. It means being honest about your capacity to lead, to support, to uplift, and to disrupt what isn't working. Taking personal responsibility also means understanding that our actions aren't just about us. They're about the people who come after us. The example we set becomes someone else's inspiration. The culture we help create becomes someone else's environment. And that influence compounds. When we act with intention, when we speak with integrity, when we lead with purpose, we leave a mark. No title, platform, or position is required to make an impact. What matters is the mindset we bring, that we are not powerless, that our contributions count, and that change is not something we wait for. It's something we build. That belief, lived out in everyday decisions, is how ordinary people become extraordinary forces for good. Conviction over fear is the final and perhaps most essential mindset when we choose to act like it's impossible to fail. Fear is natural. It warns us, protects us, keeps us alert. But when fear takes control, it can shrink our dreams, silence our voices, and keep us from ever stepping into our full potential. Conviction, on the other hand, is rooted in purpose. It's the deep inner belief that what we're doing matters. And when that belief becomes stronger than the fear, we become unstoppable. Conviction doesn't mean you never doubt yourself. It means you move forward anyway. It means that your desire to serve, to create, to fight for something better outweighs the discomfort of risk. Every time you speak up in a room where others stay quiet, every time you push through resistance to do what's right, every time you hold your ground when it would be easier to walk away, that's conviction at work. It's the quiet strength that keeps you focused when things get tough. It's what helps you keep going when success isn't guaranteed and the path ahead isn't clear. And here's the truth. The world doesn't need more people who play it safe. It needs people who are grounded in something real, people who believe so strongly in their vision, their values, or their community that fear can't stop them. Conviction is what fuels courage, what fuels action, and what ultimately fuels change. And when that conviction becomes your compass, you start showing up differently. You carry yourself with clarity and strength. You lead not just with your words, but with your example. So act like it's impossible to fail, not because life won't test you, but because you believe your purpose is greater than any obstacle. Let your ambition be bold, your courage unwavering, your resilience unshakable, your boldness visible, your responsibility personal, and your conviction fierce. In doing so, you won't just live differently, you'll lead differently. You'll leave a legacy not of fear avoided, but of possibilities realized. And when you look back years from now, you'll know you didn't wait for the perfect moment or for someone else to lead the way. You stood up, you stepped forward, you acted like it was impossible to fail. And in doing so, you became exactly the kind of force the world needs. Thank you.